Okay, Rabbi Sai, let's get rolling. Shovavim. Geschmack. Coming out on a rainy Matzah Shabbos to learn some extra Torah. Tshuva of Shovavim Shemois Ve'er Boi B'Shalach Yisur Mishpatim. Truma Tetzava. Shovavim Tat. Geschmack Torah Matzah Shabbos in the rain. Let's do it. Guys, we're going to learn some of the stuff that was left out when you were Chasanim. Maybe some of you could ask for a refund. Maybe I'll make you guys some money tonight. Some of the stuff that I don't know why it was left out, but we'll go through it. Some of you looked intrigued. Okay, that's good. So we're going to start off with one or two points that was supposed to be last week, which we didn't finish off. So I'll just finish that off, and then we're going to go weiter. So last week we were discussing the classical vests. One of the vests that we didn't get to is the oina beinis, as the Mishnah, as the Gemara says, Stam nashim roim and lamed. So regular women see every 30 days. And if this woman, regular women have a vest kavua at the time of the Gemara. Now, if this woman doesn't have a vest kavua, she is not regular. She is weird. Now, I didn't just call all women weird, did I? Well, in Gemara days, they would have been weird. So we expect this weird woman that doesn't see every 30 days. Therefore, Chazal were geyser that she has to keep Yom Lamed, because Yom Lamed was the standard day for women to see, and therefore she has to be chayshish that maybe she's going to start seeing like a normal woman on Yom Lamed. So I know what you're saying, Betsy. I could read your face. You want to know, maybe today we should obliterate the Oina Beinis. In Svara, there is Svara for it, but once there's a Gezerah of Chazal that we keep the Oina Beinis, we keep Yud Lamed, so we'll continue to keep it. Did I read your face correct? I did. Baruch Hashem. Okay, so now we know that's Yom Lamed. Now, but what's with this Chavas Das about Lamed Aleph? So the reason that the Chavas Das is Lamed Aleph is because he holds you don't use Jewish counting when the Gemara says Stam Nashim Royim Lamed Lamed. You know, we do the inclusive Jewish counting, and last week we discussed. So if you do regular counting, like when you say I'll do this in 30 days from now, then that would end up in Jewish counting 31, and that's the 31 of the Chavas Das. Now the Maisa, what we hold, the high majority of the poskim hold 30 days. It means Jewish counting 30. There's the sheet of the Chavas Das, who says it means 31. The Maisa, the Chassam Sofer and Ramosha Feinstein say that the Iker Psak is 31, like the Chavas Das, and pretty much everybody else says the Iker day is 30. Now, do we keep 31 as well? We definitely have to keep 30, because if we write poskim, that's what it means, the Oina Beinis. And Lamaisa, many are taught and many are noig to be machmer to keep 31 as well. I'll just say like this: if that's what you were taught, that's what you're noig, continue it, I guess. And if you weren't taught that you have to keep 31, I don't think you do have to keep 31. It's definitely a chumrah, and even if it should be kept, it should be kept mitoras chumrah. Now, how long does the Oina Beinis last? So the Ikar Oina Beinis is a 12-hour period, like everything else. One I know.
For example, if someone would generally be machmir not to do chibuk nishuk 30, they could do chibuk nishuk 31.
Definitely. I think definitely. Now, what about how long, maybe I'll just repeat that. The question was, could one be makel, if somebody usually keeps 31, could they be makel with chibuk nishuk? If they're usually machmir on the regular oinas, could they be makel on 31? And I think the answer is yes. Because once again, the chibuk nishuk is just a tava bracha of the Bach, and therefore that you're stretching too far, and I think that should be fine. Now, regularly Vestos, as we discussed, are a 12-hour time period, a 12-hour daytime or nighttime. Now, it's not plugged in. Yeah, let me get the sound better. Hold on a second. Thank you for pointing out it's not plugged in. We got better sound in there. Okay, we'll see how the sound improved. Thank you. So, generally it's a 12-hour time period. That's how Vestos work. Now, when it comes to the Oina Beinis, there's the Shita of the Kresi Uplesi. The Shita of the Kresi Uplesi is that it's not a 12-hour time period, rather it's a full calendar day. What does that mean, full calendar day? That means that if it was a day Oina, she started during the daytime, she keeps the day and the night that precedes the day. That calendar day in the Jewish calendar starts with the night and goes to the day. And if it was a night Re'iyah, she keeps not just the night, but she keeps the day that follows that Re'iyah, the full calendar day. Now, what's the reason for the crazy placey? The reason is because it's not about what you did last time. It's, as the Gemara says, Stam Nashim Royim Lamed Lamed. And if Stam Nashim Royim Lamed Lamed, you have to keep the full calendar day, not just that 12-hour period. And it's very mustaber. The crazy placey of keeping the full 24 hours of the Ein Beinis, compared to any of the other chumras that we said, this is the most ikr. Meaning most poskim are treating this chumrah as a very important chumrah, and this we're treating as pretty much the ikr vest, the full 24-hour period. Now, next question is, do you keep a or zarua in addition to the Ein Beinis, in addition to the crazy placey on the Ein Beinis? Meaning, if you had a day re'iyah, doesn't make so we're going to see actually it doesn't make a big nafkamin. I'll tell you what the shitas are, but it's not a big nafkamin. And Lamaisa, the Shevet Levi says you keep the Or Zarua on top of the Ein Beinis. Rav Yasher says you don't. I would personally think you should not need to keep the Or Zarua on top of the Ein Beinis, because Lamaisa the Or Zarua is big chumrah, as we discussed last week, and to keep it on top of the Ein Beinis, which what I'll explain you what it means in a second. I don't mean to push yourself back 24 hours or up 24 hours. I mean like this. If somebody had a daytime re'iyah, then there's no nafkamina. The Or Zarua doesn't have any nafkamina, because you're anyways going to be keeping the night before that day, else the crazy placey. So therefore, you call it crazy placey if you like that name. You call it Or Zarua if you like that name. But the Or Zarua doesn't create any more chumras. It's not going to go additional 12 hours earlier. Where does the Or Zarua come in? The Or Zarua comes in if a woman had a night Riyah. If a woman had a night Riyah, then the crazy place is going to say, in addition to the night of the 30, keep the day of the 30. And the Or Zarua is going to say, keep the day of 29 in addition to the night of 30. Meaning take it 12 hours earlier. Take it to the daytime earlier. Now, the reason why it's not a big nafkamina is because it's only going to include daytime. In Lamaisa, we're generally, the normal circumstances, knowing not to have tashmish during the day. And therefore, there's not a big nafkamina to whether you're makbid for this Or Zarua or not. Okay, let's go weiter. More towards what I want to focus on today. But actually, maybe this is still part of yesterday.
If for whatever reason one was going to have tashmish during the day, we would say not to?
So, once again, this is a chumrah it's a machlokes poskim. I think you don't need to be makbid, especially if it's the type of woman that knows when her period's coming. And if the type of woman who knows that her period's coming, and when her period's coming, and she knows it's not coming, then I think you could definitely be makel. If it's the type of woman that's in suffix if her period's coming, you could be makel, but I could hear why somebody would be machmer.
What's the time's night?
Shkia. Shkia.
She sees a minute after shkia, that's a night.
That's a night riyah, yes. Fine. Now, very negea halacha. I feel like they don't teach you this so much in chassan lessons. Was one of the things that you don't learn, but it's like so extremely lamaisa for a lot of people. Okay, so if a woman is on birth control pills, does she need to take, or any other type of hormonal treatment that pushes off a re'iyah, I should say? Does she need to keep her vestos when she knows that her period's not coming? Let's say she had a re'iyah, whatever it was. I don't care what the chodesh haflaga being is, whatever it was. She had a re'iyah, and there's going to be a vest coming, but she's planning on taking it for another 5 days, or maybe she's a lot of women they double the pack, and they're planning on going for another 20 days, and they want to have a re'iyah every month. They want to have a re'iyah every 2 months, every 3 months, every 4 months, I don't know what's healthy, what's not, but she's pushing it off, so she's not going to have her afloat. She's not going to see. Does she have to be shomer the vest? Do we have to keep the vest? If you know, because she's taking birth control pills, it's not coming. Right? Very negeya. So, the poskim, they quote the Radbaz, Rav Yashiv for one. He quotes the Radbaz. The Radbaz says that they used to have some potion that 1500 Spain or Svas, I don't know where he was when he wrote this. Huh? Egypt and then Svas? Okay, Egypt and then Svas, fine. So the Rabaz, he says this potion they would take, and therefore would take away their re'iyas. They wouldn't become a nida, they wouldn't have a period when they took this potion. So he says, if she's already taken it 3 times and proven that the potion works on her, then she doesn't need to keep Vestos because it's already proven that it's effective. Okay, so the Rav Yashiv therefore says, and the Shevet Levi as well, that if she's already proven herself 3 times with these pills that they work, then she does not need to keep Vestos when she is taking the pills. Now, I see your strange face, and you're gonna. What's your question?
Do birth control pills sometimes not work?
Very good. So when I was learning this first, and by the way, Rav Yashiv himself, I just want to point out, he says by a kala, where it's a bias mitzvah and it's a very common matzav, you can be makel on the first time. So there's a question that I remember learning it the first time. Rosh Kol Rav Nachum Brovsky asked. He said, I don't understand. It's birth control pills are proven solid. They worked the first time. Who needs to wait for 3 times? And now, just recently, I listened to Shiur from Shragi Kalis. Oh, by the way, so Rav Brovsky ended up, but what can I do? I didn't come to argue on Rav Yashiv and Rav Vosner, so you can be makel after 3 times. But he left it as a tmuah. I was just listening to Shiur from Rav Shragi Kalis. And he asked the same question as Rabarovsky, the same question as Yaakov. You need to prove that the birth control pills work? Everybody knows they work. They worked the first time. Who needs to prove it 3 times that it works? And Rav Kal said he called a gynecologist, and he asked him, is there such thing as a woman having a period on the birth control pills? And the gynecologist says, I never heard of such a thing. No, there's no such thing. You could have breakthrough bleeding, you could have spotting, you could have different problems, but a actual period, which is what we're chayshish for, on the pills, no such thing. So Rav Kalas therefore paskind that on the first time you don't have to keep the Vestos. Now I wasn't sure what to do because everybody agrees in Svar. It seems to be pretty pashut that it should be the first time, but Lamaisa, this is what Rav Yashiv and the Shevet Levi said, and they're not from like 300 years ago. They got the Metzias. So I was looking around. I found the Ber Moshe, Debet Tziner, who he says nowadays the pills are tested and proven on millions of women, and therefore from the first time she takes it, she doesn't have to keep Vestos. So now that I found the Debet Tziner, even though I usually would take Rav Yashiv and the Shevet Levi over the Debet Tziner in a head-to-head challenge, but once I found the Debet Tziner over here, I think we can be makel and from the first time not be choshish for Vestos. So I think that was geschmack. I'm very happy for myself that I found that. Okay. Now, what about when a woman stops taking the pills? Right? What does she have to keep then? So, when you stop taking the pills, she should be able to track by herself if it's, always 3 days after she stops taking that her period starts, so she doesn't have to be parish until 3 days. If it's always 2 days, then she doesn't have to be parish for 2 days. If it's sometimes 2 days, sometimes 3 days, so can move on. For 2 days she doesn't have to be parish. She's parish. She doesn't have to be parish. But once it's at the time where it sometimes starts coming, at that point she has to be parish. And we don't even really have the shayla. What if it doesn't come? Because it comes. Yeah. Okay. Now, what about a woman? She was taking, pills every 30 days for every 28 days for the last, 6 months. Now she stops. Does she have a vest kavua for sitting on a flug of 28? No. The person says she's not a vest because that wasn't her natural cycle. That was the pills were goyim that cycle, and therefore she doesn't have such a haflaga. Now the woman stops taking pills. She has a flow. When does she have to keep after that? So she has to keep the Oina Beinus 30 days afterwards. She has to keep the Vesta Chodesh where she actually saw, right? Haflaga, she's not going to have haflaga. I mean, assuming she's been on the pills for a while, she's not going to have the haflaga because she only had one Maria. And then the following time after that, she's going to have, the Oina Beinus, Chodesh, and haflaga as well. So that would be the story with taking pills. Okay, now we get into what I want to focus today on, the more complex Vestos, the stuff that a lot of us don't learn so much about. Yeah.
Before we go on, is there anything that breaks the haflaga besides for the pills? If you would have a random woman that wouldn't see for 4 months.
So there's a whole machlokes of the poskim that if you don't see for more than 90 days, is that called haflaga? Lamaisa, I think we are makel that we do not consider any haflaga to be more than 90 days. I think it's actually 88 days because it's 3 Oine Benis is what the poskim say. I think the math is 88. You could check me up on that, but how that works out. But 3 Oine Benis is not seeing, which is, I think it works out to be 88 days. Then, Lefimos poskim, you would not have to keep a flaga. Okay. Now, let's deal with the little complex Vestos. So there's something called, by the way, these Vestos that we're going to discuss are things that you're not choshish for. Like we're going to discuss now something called the Vesta Dilig, which means that it's going up or going down. And then we'll see it could work in chodesh or flug. I'm going to explain in a second. I'm not saying these are so common that they're going to happen by every individual. But when we play the lotto, the Vestos lotto, some people are going to win and have a Vesta Dilig. And we're going to discuss Sirugim. Some people are going to win the lotto and have the Sirugim. There's no way that nobody ever wins the lotto and never has a Silig, a Sirug, a Dilig, a regular Veskavua. You know, you play I would love, maybe I should have done this. Should have taken a hat and then like 27, 28, 29, 30, 31 and just picked out 300 times in a row and see what you got. I bet you we would have gotten a vest kavua somewhere if we would do that, right? Probably. So we're playing the lotto. Even if you want to say that women most of the time don't have a vest kavuas, somebody's going to win the lotto at some point. Yeah. Okay. So a vesta dilig is a pattern. It could be an increasing pattern. It could be a decreasing pattern. So we could discuss it both in the chodesh or in the aflaga. Let's discuss chodesh for a second. So how many riyas? What does that mean? That means you saw like the 5th of the month, the 6th of the month, the 7th of the month. How many times do you have to see for it to be kovea a vest? There's no vest in a kavua when it's dilig. It's not if you see 5 this month and the 6th of next month, you're not choshish for the 7th of the following month. You know, you have to it's only once you're kavea. When are you kavea? So it's machlokes Rav and Shmuel. Rav says it takes 3 months to be kavea. Shmuel says it takes 4 months to be kavea. What's the machlokes? Rav says 3 months is 3, 5, 6, 7. That's a dilig. Shmuel says you need 3 jumps. So you have to jump to 6, jump to 7, jump to 8. So therefore, if a woman saw 5 and 6, not choshish for the dilig. Once she saw 7, according to Rav, she has a vest kavua, vesta dilig kavua. According to Shmuel, she doesn't. How do we paskin? So it's strange. L'maisa, we paskin, we're machmer for both, which is a strange way to paskin. Just a quick background why that is, because they have the same machlokes by shar shenagach. If a shar gores in the 5th of the month, the 6th of the month, the 7th of the month, is he a shar amud? And we know that generally we paskin like Rav be'isser and Shmuel by money. You follow the doctor for the money, you go to the Rav for the isurim, right? So over here, the problem is it's the same exact machlokes, but it applies both in money, shar shenagach, and it applies by iser, nida. And therefore, we don't have the Shulchan Aruch doesn't have a way to be machriya this suffix, and therefore we paskin, the Gemara really, and therefore we paskin like both of them, we're machmer both ways. So if a woman saw the 5th of month A, the 6th of month B, I'm doing that on purpose because that's what people often get confused in fast days because they don't know the months so well. They more or less know it, and you get like confused. So it's month A, B, and C. That's the easiest way. Yeah. So you see the 5th of month A, you see the 6th of month B, and I apologize if it's not yeshivish. And you see the 7th of month C. Right. So according to Rav, you have a vest kavua. So you're gonna have to be choshish next month for seeing the 8th of month D. But according to Shmuel, you're still being choshish for the 7th because he holds you don't have vest kavua. Then in the following month, if you see the 8th of month D, then everybody, Rav and Shmuel, everybody's masking you have a vest kavua, and the only thing you have to be choshish for is the 9th of month E. That means no more unabateness, no more haflaga. The only thing you're choshish for is the 9th of month E. Yeah? And that's how it goes. Okay. Now what about when it comes to haflaga? So in haflaga they have the same machlokes. According to Rav, you're going to need 4 riyas to create a haflaga kavua and dilig. And by the way, it could go up or down. And according to Shmuel, you're going to need 5 riyas. Why? Because when you have 4 riyas, that's 3 intervals, 3 haflagas. It takes 4 riyas to have 3 intervals, 3 haflagas. Whereas according to Shmuel, you need 5 re'iyas, because that's 4 intervals. You need 4 intervals to have 3 jumps. Right? And it all plays out the same way. If we want to have a little fun here, give a little case. So let's say we have a woman that...
Down. You can't just keep going down the whole time.
very good. So there are those that ask that, but the Maisa we paskin that you're allowed to do it. It happens to be the art poskim. That's a lot of poskim say that if it goes under 18, then it's okay. It's a whole discussion of Nida versus Ziva. You may Ziva can't possibly go in, whatever. But as long as it stays above the number 18, we allow it. Listen, it can't go up forever. Also, I mean, it could mathematically it could, but it can't. Okay, but it's less mistaber. Correct, it's true. So Lamaisa, like this. So we have a woman who sees, Geshmaka woman. She sees the Haflaga 29, Haflaga 28, Haflaga 27. What does she have to be chayshish for the following month? So she has to be chayshish for Haflaga 26, because according to Rav, she has the Vest Kavua for Haflaga going down. She has to be chayshish for 27, because according to Shmuel, she doesn't have Haflaga going down, so she has a regular Haflaga of 27. If she keeps the base mayor, she has to be chayshish for 28. And if she keeps the base mayor, she also has to be chayshish for 29, because she hasn't got them in at 28 or 29. She has to keep the Oyne Beinus of 30, and she has to get the Chavas Das of 31. And obviously, we're going to throw into her all the Orzaruas and the Crazies. So that's the case where you can have a woman who's going to have from 26 through 31 of days that will all be Usser, Al Taflaga, or Oyne. If that ever happens, jackpot. Okay, so fine. Now there's another type of vest called the vest hasirig, or vest l'sirugan, however you want to exactly pronounce it. But what's a sirugan? So that is when you skip months. Once again, you play the lotto, you're going to get this. Somebody's going to get this at some point, playing the lotto. So she gets, we'll discuss it. This only applies in Chodesh, it does not apply in Haflaga. So she gets the 5th, she sees a Riyah on the 5th of month A, the 5th of month C, and the 5th of month E. There she has a Ves Kavua for every other month. And we're not talking about that she didn't see on B and D. On B she saw on the 6th, and on D she saw on the 4th. But she has a for every other month, and it could be every 3rd month also that you're going to have it, and that would be a Ves L'Sirugim. By the way, one more thing that I just wanted to be clear about when I was discussing before in the Dilig, the jumping, it could be that it jumps up from the 5th of the month to the 7th of the month to the 9th of the month to the 11th of the month. It's not only a 1 jump, it could be a 2 jump also, or a 3 jump also. 3 jumps just technically going to be more complicated, but possible. Yeah? Okay. Weiter. Now, this is something that I am sure happens. You ready? And we don't learn this a lot of times as chassan lessons, but that's what we have Shovavim for, to take it to the next level, you know? So, a vest hashavua. Anybody here ever heard of a vest hashavua? Silence. Okay, that's what I figured. There's something called a vest hashavua. Now, it happens to be a vest hachodesh is more likely than a vest hashavua, right? So if we're going to have something that could be described as a vest hachodesh and could be described as a vest hashvua, you would choose a vest hachodesh, right? Okay. Now, let's get this. Let's say a woman sees on a Sunday, and then she sees 4 weeks later on Sunday, and then she sees again 4 weeks later on Sunday. So she saw 3 times. In the Chodesh, it was different months of the Chodesh, yeah? Different months of the Chodesh. Different days of the Chodesh. But she saw Sunday, 4 weeks later Sunday, 4 weeks later Sunday. And it obviously could be any day of the week. So this woman, by the way, you could also call it a flaga of 29. Going from Sunday, 4 weeks later, so she did 2 haflagas of 29. How many Sundays did she see in a row? Or every 4th Sunday? 3 times. She has a vest kavua for every 4th Sunday. Now, if it happens another time, right, then she's already going to have a vest kavua for haflaga. because then it would be 3 haflaga. If she sees on the 4th Sunday, it's already 3 haflagas of 29. Right? But if she sees just with 2 haflagas of 29, that's already 3 Sundays. So if she saw 4 times in a row 29, right? So then we're going to say she has a vest kavua for haflaga. But if it's only 3 times that she saw on Sunday, she had 2 haflagas of 29. Now, because by the way, every time you have a haflaga 29, you ever get the number 29, it has to click. By the way, also 22 or 36, but 29 is going to be more common than 22 or 36. So if a woman sees 29, she has to be thinking, oh, wait a second, that's always going to work out the same day of the week. Then you could, and if you ever get 2 of them in a row without getting 3 in a row, you ever get it like, oh my gosh, we're almost going to get to a vest kavua. If I just get one more 29, it's going to be a vest kavua haflaga. Well, you actually already have a vest kavua for the shvua. Now, is this common? I think statistically it has to be common. I decided, first of all, Chazal say the Stam Nashim see every 30 days. This is 29. It's pretty close. I Googled it. What is the average cycle length? So Harav Google, with his Shemesh, said that every 28 days is the average cycle length. You know what 28 days is in Jewish counting? 29. Because the Google, even though Rav Google, but Google doesn't count in halachic numbers. Google counts in regular numbers. So 28, that's 29. So this is the most common length vest. You telling me people don't get it twice in a row? For sure happens. For sure, people don't know that they're winning the lotto. So it's something that you have to be definitely keep your eye out for this because it sure happens. But once again, if you would have it the 3rd time, then I think people would already know that they have a vest haflaga kavua. Now, vest haflaga kavua is more mistaber than vest hashvua, so therefore, if it's going to be one of them, you assume it's the kavua. But once again, all you need is the 2 haflagas of 29. In the same ayna. Yes, correct. Good point. In the same ayna. Fine. Next thing that I'm going to discuss is something that is not common, so I'm just going to do it quickly, but it's still in the Shulchan Aruch, so we're going to say it. Something called a vest ha'inus, which is some external factor causing the woman to have a riyah. The Gemara talks about jumping or achila shum, eating some garlic or some spicy stuff, and that's goyrim the riyah to come. And therefore, if that happens, this is a siba, a goyrim. And if that happens, then she has to, whenever she jumps or eats garlic, she'll have to be pirish. We don't really see this. There are some far out cases of maybe some women that change in ear pressure of planes or whatever. Maybe, not so much. The only time that this ever comes up is there's some poskim want to discuss certain medical treatments, like for example the pills, etc., and want to compare it to vesta inus, and it's debatable whether it fits in. But in proper vesta inus, we don't really have that. Okay, so next category, which is something that I want to discuss well, is something called vest haguf. Everybody's a chassan. You guys learn about vest haguf? Vest haguf is physical symptoms that when the woman sees the symptom, we know that her riyah is coming, and she has to keep a vest, pirish, mitam vest, when these physical symptoms happen.
Yawning, hiccups, sneezing.
Yes. Those are the examples of the Gemara and the examples of the Mishnah. It's very good. Was the Ilam taught that as chasanim? I don't think so. I think the minhag is the... Yeah, you are? Okay, fine. I think most chasanim were not taught that, but it's a big shiloh why. Now, Vestagov. So what is Vestagov? There's a Gemara in Nida on Samach Gimel, the Shulchan Aruch. We have over here from Kuf Pei Daled, from Yud Test through Chav Gimel, pretty long sifim about this. What is Vestagov? So the Vestagov is not like the Oinus, which was the Siba, the Goyrim. The Vestagov was the Siman. When these are the Hashem's messengers. These are the blinking lights. Re'iyah coming. Stay away. Yeah? And there's a chiv midrasa to be pirish when a woman has a vest haguf. What are these vest haguf? So some of the examples from the Gemara and from the Shulchan Aruch. are these wild things. I guess we never heard of anything like this. A woman who has cramps, or heaviness of limbs, or moodiness, or headaches. And there's also like yawning spells and stretching spells and burping spells. And maybe those are a little more weird. But there's definitely some examples. And the Rambam, by the way, it's kiyotze behem. It's anything else that might be. So, for example, I don't know, pimples, which is something that some women get, which isn't on anybody's list. The Rambam, that would be included as well. It's not clear for me if the Shulchan Aruch is going with that or not. It seemed pashas, yes. But we have enough examples of common stuff like headaches and cramps, right? So, Zak the Shulchan Aruch, if a woman has these, that's considered a Vesta Guf, and she has to be choshesh for this. Now, something to note before we get into greater detail is that there's a machlokes whether the symptom needs to be, could it come a couple of days before the re'iyah, or is it only if it comes within close proximity of the re'iyah? So the Sug b'Shashanim says that it's only if it comes within a day, and I think that Dayan Padwa, I believe, said it as well. Only if it comes within a day of the re'iyah does it count as a vest. But if it's the type of thing that gives the early warning 2 days before, that doesn't count. The other, like the Shevet Levi says, 2 days, 3 days, whatever, not a problem. And the other point is that there are some that say the sprach. I'm not exactly positive where exactly it comes from, but there's the sprach and whatever. It has to be a known amount of time. Meaning, if she sometimes has cramps 3 days before, sometimes 1 day before, sometimes 2 days before, and it's not scientific, so people want to say, not exactly, I don't have a clear name on this, but the Welt wants the taina that, I think the Badei HaShulchan actually says it, sorry. It was the Badei HaShulchan says it, but I don't know where he got it from, and I don't know who else says it, but that if it's not a specific amount of time, then it's not considered a Vesta Guf. But if it is a specific amount of time, she gets this, a day before. She gets this, it's coming in the next 12 hours, then it would be a Vesta Guf. Now, here's the interesting thing. There's even such a thing called the Vesta Guf Eina Kavua, which is something that's very, very easy to learn them, the halachas. To implement it is going to be, I don't know how you do it. So,
you say like being bad-tempered could be one of the
yeah, the Rambam calls it hifuk nefesh. I think that one is going to be one. It's going to be very complicated to implement that one. That one's going to be much more complicated to implement than things like cramps, because cramps, you're having cramps, you're not having cramps. Bad moods, I don't know, there are some women, I don't know this from any personal experience, I heard there's some women that get into bad moods sometimes when it's not this time also. So, that's what I heard, I don't know. But, people tell me, So, I don't know, I mean, there's it's very hard to define. And it's like where Moshe Feinstein says this about, and the Pardes Rimonim as well really says, that it has to be something miyuchad. So, if she normally gets headaches, right? And she also gets headaches before her period, but she gets headaches normally, and she gets headaches before her period comes, that's not a Vesta Guf. But if it's that when her period's coming, she has this specific type of headache, it's in the front of her head, it's a migraine, and she normally gets other headaches, but she doesn't get these headaches, then that is a Vesta Guf. When it comes to moodiness, it's going to be a little complicated to pinpoint and call this thing. I mean, maybe certain women, yeah. But I think as a general, for most people, it's going to be very hard to define and say that's that. But if there's certain women that it's not just like a little irritable, but it's maybe that she gets, she's crying like crazy, that she always cries like crazy before her period comes, then that would be a Vesta Guf. But if it's like a little irritable, then it's going to be very, like Like, if she gets headaches here, headaches there, it might be hard to pinpoint and say it's a Vestagov. But there's definitely women that they get cramps. It doesn't mean that she can never get cramps ever else in her life. But when she gets cramps, what's the raya? When she gets cramps, does she say, okay, period's coming, I'm getting cramps? So then l'chayr it's a problem. So once again, it's not necessarily a problem. A Vestagov isn't a problem. But I'm saying just to know that you have it. So one more time, I'm just saying two things that we need. According to some, it needs to be a defined amount of time. According to some, it needs to be within 24 hours. But as I said, the Shevet Levi says it could be more than that. According to the word on the street, the body of Shulchan as well, says that it needs to be a set amount of time. I don't think to the minute, but I'm saying a set amount of time, consistent amount of time before the period comes. And according to Ramosha and the Paras Ramainim, it has to be, which I don't think others argue on this. I think it's probably everybody agrees, but this is where I saw it said it, that it has to be a miyuchadikus symptom. Yeah, very specific. She gets heavy limbs before her period, but she gets heaviness before her period, but it's not something that she gets all the time. It doesn't mean she can never get it.
This has to be 3 times or...
So this is very good, Eli. So actually Shulchan Aruch, from one time you have to be choshesh. Now, I don't know how this works in Metzias. It's very difficult to implement this in Metzias. I mean, I could say the words and I could read the sif in Shulchan Aruch. I mean, because what are you being choshesh for one time? There's a lot going on in people's lives and people's bodies and people whatever. How do you know what to pinpoint? So obviously, and we're talking about something that's abnormal, so maybe that, but I'll tell you like this. The Shulchan Aruch says from the first time you have to be choshesh. On a Metziastic level, I don't know exactly how that's going to happen. Unless you're very in tune with your body, etc. It's going to be very difficult to implement. But once it happens 2-3 times, and a woman is already picked up on this, that, listen, this is the 3rd time in a row that I had cramps, and then within 12 hours my period started, then she has a ves kavua for cramps. And we're going to discuss what the halachas are in a minute. Now, one good thing is, I know a lot of people haven't been taught this or haven't been keeping this. That's what Shovavim's for. But the one time it was very negea, is let's say a woman, usually the woman who, let's say, has cramps and it comes within 12 hours, right? So it comes the next day now. So, she's Yerushalayim, right? And therefore she's going to, when she has cramps, they're going to be Pirish. Right? So that's not a problem. It's the 29th of Flaga. Flaga is 29, and she's getting cramps. She's going to be Pirish. And then 12 hours later, period's going to come. Great. But that same woman, what happens when she has cramps at 20, a Flaga of 20? So that woman who doesn't normally have cramps all over the place, she normally has cramps before her period. And it's usually in the 29 range, right? And this month, at 20, she has cramps. Halacha, and especially if that's kavua could even be. She has to be parish. That is the halacha. I don't care whether she ends up having a riyah or doesn't have a riyah. L'chayra, she has to be parish. So I'll get to that in a second for how long. But l'chayra, and that's something that people don't know and people don't keep, and it's a big kasha of mine. I have I think I'll call it a limit schus. Maybe it's an emistik halacha. I'm not sure whether it's one of these things that's it's a good vart for the base medrash to rely on myself. It's one of these things I want to run by when a big Talmid Chacham. Next time I bump into a big Talmid, a real big Talmid Chacham, I want to run by and see if I could say such a thing. But I was hoping to try to find something because the world's not makbid on this. The world doesn't know this halacha. I don't think anybody knows this halacha that I just said, but it seems to be Mefurish Shulchan Aruch. First Gemaras, first Shulchan Aruch, first everything. So how could everybody not be doing this? So my limit schus, or maybe pshat, is when there's something that we call the vest of the Trumas Hadeshin. It's a negative vest. We see, for example, when it comes to what they call Badikas Harif, which is something about checking if Tashmish is goyim women to have riyas. After the chasana, some are noig like the shach not to do it. If you know what I'm talking about, great. If not, whatever. That they do bedikas to see if tashmish is causing her to see blood. And the Trumas Hadeshin says you could have certain days that you know you're not going to see. So this woman never sees before 27. If this woman never sees before 27, it's like she has a vest haguf, not a vest kavua, not to see before 27. And if she has a vest kavua not to see before 27, the bedikas won't help. And we call it the Trumas Hadeshin's vest. So maybe we could say if this woman has a Trumas Hadeshin's vest that she never sees before 27, which is what most women have, whether the number is 26, 27, 28, whatever it is for each woman. But there is a number that most women have that they never see before that number. So therefore, we could say maybe that when they have a vest haguf, before then, we're not choishish to that vest haguf because there's a vest kavua, Trumas Hadeshin, that says not to be choishish for it. So that's my limitzchus for the world, not to be choishish for this. But it's something that I mamish don't have the shoulders to say. I was not even the type of thing that I'd go, you can't even ask the shayla to like a shul rav. I have to next time I see Rav Asher Weiss, I have to ask him this. Betsy, can you ask her Sternbach? Betsy, please ask her Moshe Sternbach if we could say such a svar. He might scream at you. Okay.
It's not any of this farm anyway.
I didn't see it. I didn't see anybody. I looked for it. Nobody said it. But maybe that's my liebes. I want to, and if please let me know what Moshe Sternbach says about it, because I want to put a name to it. Okay.
Also, if 1 month you don't see it, or she has these cramps and nothing happens, so then
So if she had a kavua, she already saw it 3 times. So that's only 1 knockout. She has to see it 3 times to knock it out. If she only saw it once or twice, which once again I told you on a Metzias level is hard, then having the cramps once and not having a re'iyah will knock it out. But if she saw it 3 times already, then she would need to have cramps 3 times to knock it out. Fine. Now, how, as Elliot was asking, how exactly does the Prisha work? When exactly are we parish? So if the flow starts right when the cramps start, we're going to talk about now the start of the Prisha. When do we start being parish? So if the cramps start right when the flow starts, so she has to be parish right when the cramps start. I'm just using cramps as an example. It could be any of the examples, right? So if the blood starts 5 minutes out, pretty much right after the cramps start, so she has cramps, you have to be parish right away. That's simple enough. Now, if the flow normally starts 2 hours after the cramps start, let's say, cramps start 2 hours later, she starts, the Riyah starts. So then, you have a 2-hour time clock. You don't have to be parish for those 2 hours. I mean, we're not talking, be smart. You don't go to the minute, but you give you a couple minutes, whatever. But the Prisha only starts halakhically from when you've seen the time gap before. Now, if the flow generally continues to after the cramps stop, which is normal, which is going to be most of the time, most women, right? They're not. Let's say the blood's going to be going for 5 days. If she doesn't have cramps the full 5 days, so then let's say she has cramps this time and the blood didn't start yet. Let's say day 20, she had cramps and the blood didn't start yet. So then she has to be pirish after the cramps finished for the remainder of that Ainah. So if there's 2 hours to Shkia, she has to be pirish from then plus another 2 hours. If it's 10 hours to Shkia, she has to be from when the cramps start for another 10 hours. Or till Nates, whatever it is. Yeah? Okay. Now, if the flow generally starts after the cramps have already finished, which is very normal for a lot of women, right? After she has cramps, those are the warning signs. Then the warning signs go away, and then the blood starts. So it depends on the time difference from when the cramps usually. Sorry, I said that wrong. I just picked the side. I didn't want to pick that side actually. One more time. If the flow starts after the cramps finish, so the Chavas Das says she has to be pirish from the beginning of the cramps. I'm not exactly sure what his svara is. And whereas the Graz, the Shulchan Aruch Harav, says she has to be pirish, after the cramps finish, which makes much more sense. I don't know why the Chavas Das says she has to be pirish from the beginning of the cramps. I think the halacha actually kind of follows the Chavas Das, even though it sounds strange to me. But if the I want to look into that a little bit further because in Svara the Shulchan Aruch Rav sounds much more mustaber, but those are the shitas if the flow starts after the cramps finish. And if the flow generally starts a na after the cramps end, if the cramps finish and there's a full na, full 12-hour period until in between cramps, and when the flow starts, then everybody agrees you don't need to be parish until the following na. Now, the one thing where this gets a little tricky, which I didn't find anybody that discusses clearly, is I'm sure there's a lot of women that it's not a vart in na, it's a vart in, I don't know, it's 15 hours. Now, depending on what time of the day she got the cramps, 15 hours could be one na later, one 12-hour period later, or it could be 12-hour periods later. Because if you had an hour before Shkia, you're going to have it an hour after Nates. And that'll be, I didn't find the clear, whatever. But I think, round it off, I guess. I don't know exactly what to say because I didn't find anybody that discusses it clearly. But, maybe I didn't look so hard on that one. But Lamaisa, that's it. I just want to sum up on this, and we'll conclude with this. One more time, forget the actual points of when you're pirish are a little complicated. But Lamaisa, there's one more thing also that I forgot to mention, but it's sifim in the Shulchan Aruch, so I want to point it out, but it's not so common. There's something called the vest haguf hamorkav, which is when you have a vest kavua that comes with a vest haguf. So it's the vest kavua with a vest haguf beforehand, and that has a whole slew of halachas of whatever. I'm not getting into it. It's complicated and it's not so negeya relatively, because then you have to you have to win the double lotto. Winning the double lotto is already harder than winning the single lotto. So, I think vest haguf happens. I think it's a pella that it's not taught much. But Lamaisa, the one maybe saving grace of why it's not taught much is maybe it's possible. Once again, I don't have the information at my fingertips. I'm not the type of person that gets a gazillion shaylas coming my way. But maybe it's just women nowadays don't see it a consistent amount of time in between the symptom and the re'iyah. Maybe that's the mitzias. I don't know if that's the mitzias. Maybe that's the mitzias, and maybe that's the reason. But the Mesa, I think we have to put this stuff on our radar, and I think it's a real thing. I think the shiur should be mefarsim. I think maybe you could ask your chassan tisha for the money back. And no, I'm joking, but I don't know. It's for some reason it's not taught, but the Mesa the chayr it should be taught. They're still in my Shulchan Aruch. I don't know. Shkoyach for listening and have a great week.
Oh yeah.